If you look at Rule 11, Section 5, Article 1 of the NFL Rulebook, you'll find the definition of a safety. When the play ends, if the ball is behind the team's own goal line, then it's a safety, and 2 points are awarded to the other team. However, there are some exceptions, like an incomplete forward pass, or if a defensive player intercepts a pass, or recovers a fumble and his momentum carries him into the end zone. This makes complete sense. You shouldn't punish a player for something he cannot control with regards to his momentum. But this wasn't always the rule. The momentum on fumble recoveries exception was not always in there. For years, the NFL treated interceptions and fumbles differently. If you intercepted a pass and your momentum carried you into the end zone, it wasn't a safety. But if you recovered a fumble and the same thing happened, it was. So why are fumble recoveries not safeties anymore? As I mentioned in a previous video of mine, every rule is in place for a reason. And the reason for this one is because twice in the same season, teams got screwed over by this rule. In Week 3 of the 2000 season, the Atlanta Falcons were taking on the Carolina Panthers, with the Falcons leading 13-10. With just over 2.5 minutes left in the game, Jamal Anderson took the handoff for the Falcons. He bowled over a Panthers defender and was deep in Carolina territory. But Doug Evans stripped Anderson and recovered the fumble at the 2-yard line. His momentum carried him into the end zone. In today's NFL, the Panthers get the ball with the chance to tie the game. In 2000 though, yep, this was ruled a safety. And this wasn't a case of the refs getting it wrong. That was the rule back in the day as it was written. Panthers head coach George Seifert had no idea about this rule, and 2 days later said that he was still talking to the league about it, and that the rule was so obscure that he never even knew about it. From what I understand, he said, it's a different rule than if you intercept the ball and momentum carries you into the end zone than it is for a fumble recovery. The NFL had to put out an explanation after the game, and the NFL rulebook was placed in the locker of every Panthers player. Sure enough, later in the season, it happened again. Week 16 of the season between the Oakland Raiders and the Seattle Seahawks. I made a video yesterday about another game involving the 2000 Raiders and linebacker Greg Biekert if you want to check that out. 2.5 minutes left in the game, with the Raiders leading by 5. Ricky Waters takes the handoff, he breaks a tackle, and he takes it 53 yards down the field. But Charles Woodson forces a fumble, and Marquez Pope recovers on the 2-yard line, with his momentum carrying him into the end zone. In today's NFL, the Raiders get the ball, and they potentially win the game. In 2000 though, once again, this was ruled a safety. The Seahawks got the ball back, and they eventually drove down the field to score the game-winning touchdown. Obviously, the Raiders were very angry about this. Wide receiver Tim Brown said that if that is a rule, they need to change it. That's ridiculous. They definitely need to take a look at that this offseason. Marcus Pope said what the rule should be, saying either you down me where I recover the ball, or it's a touchback and you bring our team out to the 20-yard line. It's a call I've never seen before. And Seahawks head coach Mike Holmgren summed it up best, saying immediately, your reaction is, wait a minute, that's not the rule. Well, it is the rule. Don't ask me why it's different for an interception than a fumble. It just is. Fortunately, the season wasn't too impacted by this. Neither the Panthers, Falcons, or Seahawks made the postseason, or would have made the playoffs if the play was called under today's rules. As for the Raiders, they still won the AFC West with a 12-4 record, and while a 13-3 record could have potentially given them home field advantage and the number 1 seed over the Tennessee Titans, Oakland still wound up getting a first-round bye and hosting all of their playoff games, including the AFC Championship. So this nightmare scenario could have been a lot worse. After multiple games that season were decided by this obscure and unfair rule, the league changed the safety rule in 2001 so that if your momentum carried you into the end zone on a fumble recovery, it wasn't a safety. And that rule change was definitely for the best. Special thanks to all our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron in the description below.